Hello, hello. Here we are again, coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha with the Paranormal World Show. You know, the show that is for the thinking global citizen. And my name is Aage, and I'm the host here today. And we are coming to you from 44 different platforms around the world. And one of them is the we have been with the Conscious Awakening Network for, I think, over a year, and we are transmitting live over there also. So go and visit them. They have close to 50 different shows over there, and a lot of information of the stuff that both you and me need to know about, but you don't find a lot of other places. So, we are also on the Roku, 3 TV stations, and a bunch of other social media, so you'll find us just about everywhere. I also would like to tell you how you can get in touch with me and also with our co-host on Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love. You go to broadcastteamalpha.com. Go ahead and use the contact feature and just send us an email, and we'll get the email and we'll get back to you and see what we can do for you. I also want to say that we've done something incredible. We created a spiritual think tank. In there, we're doing incredible things. It seems like we are creating out of seemingly nothing sometimes. We've had incidents where somebody was on their deathbed and we wrapped our mastermind around them, and the next day she walked out of the hospital perfectly healthy. And we created rain, not from clear sky, but there were a few clouds. But within an hour and a half, there were howling rain to put out forest fires in Northern California. And the windfalls of economics and a lot of other things. If you want to be part of something like that, send us an email and request information and a link to come and check it out. It is the mastermind connection at gmail.com. The mastermind connection at gmail.com. I'll get the email and we'll send you information and you can come and check it out. Now, I want to introduce our guest. And remember also, if you like what you see, please subscribe. That's going to help us a lot. And I have Kathy Cogliano with me. Yeah, I know that sounds Italian, and it probably is. So if you speak Italian, you'll do fine with us. Uh, she has had phenomenal experiences, and we're going to talk about a bunch of those because these experiences well, if nothing else, it'll make your eyebrows go up because there is some really interesting stuff in there. And she's been a guest on many of the high-profile shows out there. Her experiences have been featured in many books and publications and other shows. And she takes people on journeys to sacred sites around the world, like pyramids of Egypt and Glastonbury and England and places like the things that you would love to go and have the experience of, but maybe you haven't yet, but maybe now is the time. So I welcome to the show, Kathy.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here with you.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
You had some phenomenal experience, and we were talking before we started recording this show, and it came out a lot of things that I didn't know about. I watched some of your recordings, and it is things that is totally unusual. Now, you had a levitation experience. I would love for us to start out with that one because there's pearls in here that people can relate to. This is something that on rare occasions it does happen to people. Some or similar things happen. So it's just to tell them that they're not alone. There are other people too that have the experiences that you have. So I'm hoping that can help other people, but I would love to hear what you experienced in your levitation experience.
Thank you, Aage. Yes. That happened a few years ago now. I was in the other house I was living in at the time. And I had gone to bed. I was in bed. I was asleep when all of a sudden the dog was curled up on the right side of the bed. I'm asleep when I hear this stunning, stunning harp music. And I can remember I opened my eyes and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm in a state of sleep paralysis and I'm encased in what can only be described as a cocoon of golden light. And I'm levitated off the bed. And I remember I looked over to where the TV was in front of me to see where this music was coming from. The harp music. I'm thinking, did I just die and go to heaven or what is going on here? And the TV was off. So, but yet this music just filled the room. It was beautiful beyond words. And so I'm levitated. I'm in this cocoon of light and I'm in sleep paralysis when through the headboard, through the house, through the headboard, coming into the crown of my head is this energy that's being shot into me. And it is causing my entire body to vibrate. And it was so intense. Telepathically, I screamed, stop, stop. This is too much. This is too much. It did quiet down a bit, but this energy was still being shot through me. And it was remarkable. I knew I was awake. That's the thing. I knew this was not a dream. I knew I was awake because I could physically hear the harp music. That was the key piece to knowing that I'm awake. And then as I could only move my eyes, I can remember I moved my eyes over to look to see if the dog was seeing any of this. She was asleep. But then as I looked over, there was windows to that right side of the house in my bedroom. And I see in full 3D this leprechaun. I know as crazy as that sounds. He jumped through a pane of the window, jumped into the room, and he was classic leprechaun. He had bright red hair, he had a beard, he didn't have a hat or anything, but he was in overalls, he was in a striped shirt, he had little turned up shoes, and he jumps in the room. And at that moment, the dog sensed this, wakes up. She starts barking and barking, and she jumps off the bed. And as soon as she barked, everything that was happening around me just stops. So I'm down on the bed. I can feel myself be put down on the bed. The cocoon of light's gone. The harp music's gone. The energy's gone being shot into me. And then the dog jumps off and chases this thing through the house. And I got up out of bed as well and went through the house. Neither one of us could find this thing. So, but to have the dog bark like that and to see this being validated that experience for me. And that I truly feel this was a multi-dimensional thing happening to me. I don't know if I was being worked on, if this was a type of healing that was being done for me, or I'm not sure what. I honestly, to this day, do not know exactly what was going on. But the one thing I do know, I was awake. So
Did
this
you
was
f- did you feel any physical change or feel anything physical afterwards?
No, not really. Like nothing that bothered me.
Yeah.
No, it at the time it was extremely uncomfortable, but afterwards, no, I got out of bed. I was walking fine. Yeah, no, it was a very unusual experience. but then again, a lot of things happened in that house that were unusual. And that was early on in my journey. So that was, something to, and I feel the leprechaun in my mind kind of represents the elemental realm, that somehow what was going on for me allowed that realm for him to come into my dimension and be seen. Had the dog not been on the end of the bed, I would, I she validated for me in my mind.
Yeah, but
This happened.
here's a thought for you though, and that is that if when the leprechaun came in, if the dog had not seen anything or experienced anything, it may have been created in your mind only. But since the dog saw it, there had to be a joint experience, possibly something physical for the dog to experience it. So you were not the only one. There were two of you that
Yeah,
saw
you're
this
right.
thing.
Yeah, you're right. It
Hmm.
was, yeah, I'll never forget it. And as I said to you earlier, every time I speak of this, I am vividly back there. I can vividly see all of this playing out. And yeah, it's one of my more remarkable experiences for
Yeah.
sure.
What happened to the little guy? Did just poof disappear or?
Probably. He's probably lucky the dog didn't get a hold of him.
Yeah.
She was trying her best to get that darn thing running through the house. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Well,
yeah, I believe it happened.
the thing about those leprechauns is that the Western world is full of those experiences. Anything from Ireland, of course, Ireland,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
also England. We have them in Norway, where I'm from. I remember stories about those little guys from when I grew up.
No
My mom,
kidding.
my mom told me they're real. They live in the woods.
They are. Yeah.
And of course, I accepted that. And she had an experience where she saw something. So this is
Ah,
not uncommon. It does happen.
yeah. I had a dear friend from Ireland, actually. I did share this encounter with a private paranormal group I belong to. And he got in touch with me afterwards to just say that part of his research is that, he researches this, this happens. These are real phenomena. The leprechauns, the fairies, the elemental kingdom. It's real, and of course over in Ireland, they're very close to that, that fairy realm, that elemental realm. So it was a nice validation for me to hear from him and for him to just confirm that, yeah, you're not the only one that has experiences
Yeah.
with leprechauns.
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. And if there is other people that have had experiences like this by fairies or leprechauns, send us a message. Let us know about it in the text below this show when it comes out, because I would love to hear from you, because these kinds of experiences people need to know about. I've had my own too with something interdimensional. So, and you also you had some experiences, or a experience at least, with shadow people. You know, I I see them around the house here all the time. I have people living here with me that is not physical.
Oh,
Right out of the corner of my eye, I can see them from time. They're standing out there, kind of like a dark shadow. When I look over there, poof, they're gone.
yeah.
But that's my experience. Now, what is yours?
Mine was, boy, I was staying with friends in Nashville, Tennessee, and they had friends who had a beautiful farm, Butterfly Hill
Mm.
Farm, up in the Smoky Mountains. And we all took a day trip up there together, whole group of us. And one of the first things I did when I got there, I was just drawn to the woods. And this was literally this farm was carved out of the side of the Smoky Mountains. So everything around this farm was woodland, very dense woodland. And for some reason, I'm guided to go into the woods. And two of the other guys that were there, wanted to come too, go exploring. So we go into the woods. And immediately we're on this path, and I had the sense of this being a very old path in these woods, when all of a sudden I hear with my physical ears these really strange noises, like clicking noises and whistle noises. I thought, oh my God, what the heck is that? And of course, the other two guys don't hear this. And they know that I can kind of see and communicate to spirit. So they were intrigued as to what was going on. And all of a sudden, running on this path through the woods comes a whole group of Native American men. It to me seemed like a hunting party. And they were running so quickly, and they were signaling to each other using those sounds I heard, the clicking and the whistles. And they ran so quick by us that I could physically feel the air shift as they moved by us. I could feel them come. And I thought, oh my goodness. And I told the guys what I was seeing at the time, live, and they were just enthralled. And so that wishes by us. And then we continue in a little bit further, and we find the remains of this old cabin. Very creepy, honestly. And then all of a sudden, I see and I'm hearing somebody talking in French. And then only to see this man, this big man, dark hair. He's just like covered in like fur. It's the best way I could describe it, like a big fur coat. And it was quick. I saw him in the cabin, and I had a sense that he was like a hunter or something like that. And at that point I thought, okay, so we're like one, two happening here real quick. I thought, okay, maybe we kind of need to return to the farm. This is getting a little heavy out here in these woods. So we do, we head back. And we go in the house. And of course, the guys couldn't wait to tell everybody what happened. So it was kind of fun. And the owners of the house, came up and said they have had other people say they have seen that this was a Native American area where they would do hunting. They had settlements there, and that there were French trappers, fur trappers, that were known to live and have those huts, those little houses in the woods. So, so both things they kind of validated, seeing both of those things. So we get in the house, and the owners, they were so sweet. They were preparing a dinner for us. And so we're all kind of gathered in their great room, and we're all talking. And I look across, and my friend Loretta was standing next to me, and she's wonderful. She's a medium. She can see, sense, spirit, and all that. And I look across, and I see this group of shadow people. It looked to at least be 10 people, and they were moving very slowly across the wall. And I can remember thinking, oh my God, am I really seeing this? And I checked the lighting. There was nothing that would have created those shadows. And then I look over to Loretta, who's also staring at that wall. And I looked to her and I said, do you see this? You see these shadow people? And she said, yes, I do. I see them. And I did not get the sense they were malevolent at all. I had the sense they were almost like guardians. And they just kept walking. It was almost like they were just coming through the house and walking. And a little later on in the evening, we shared, Loretta and I, that we saw them. And the owner's first question was, do you feel that they're here to cause us any harm? Do they feel malevolent to you? And we both agreed, no, not at all. We feel they were there as almost guardians of the land and of your house, and that they're almost protecting you. And they were so relieved to get that message, because they had seen the shadow people in the house numerous times, and it really unsettled them. And they were very glad to know that these, the Native Americans there still in spirit, honor that land and are protecting the family that live there now in their farm, their animals. And it was a remarkable experience, because I know of others who have had, shadow people experiences. A lot of times it's a single entity.
Yeah.
So it was unusual to have this be a group of people. So yeah. And again, the validation to have Loretta next to me was remarkable, because I thought, all right, am I really seeing this? What's going on here? So, yeah, so it was validated. So it
Yeah.
was a very interesting experience. Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful part of Tennessee, which is a
Hmm.
lovely state.
Yeah, when there's one more than one person experiences, then it's a shared experience of the environment you are in. If it is just you and nobody else sees it, that could be in your mind again. So you had a real semi-physical experience because it was seen by others also. Yeah,
And then have the earlier experience in the woods with the Native Americans, and
yeah,
so it almost kind of set the stage for them then to come through and kind of let us know that they were there as,
yeah, yeah,
protectors.
yeah. Also, you had some spirit communication. So that was written up in your experiences, spirit communication, where maybe you have interacted with some form. Communication can be a lot of different things. It can be
Yeah.
verbal, could be visual, could be just as sensations.
Yeah, I kind of listed that as a broad topic
Okay.
because, yeah, a lot of times I'll get communication, like with the Native Americans, they're using the whistles and the sounds because I can hear spirit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of just a broad thing. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, what was that one I was referring to? But yeah, a lot of times I have had spirit come
Hmm.
in and communicate.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing with that is a lot of times I'll share a very quick story, seeing as you did bring it up. I This has happened twice to me now that I've had spirits visit me in my shower.
Oh.
So it's a little unsettling, actually. First time it was a woman I had met briefly. It was her husband who had passed over. And I mean, I knew this. I didn't know them really. We just sat together on a board in down in a local, our Plymouth Philharmonic. And this man's in my and he's telling me who he is and all of that. And I thought, oh my gosh. I said, okay, so you need to leave my shower. And when I come out, I will open up and I will talk to you then. Okay. And I did. And I had a notebook and he gave me a lovely message for his wife. He was talking about certain things with the family. There was, I believe, a birthday or something that was an important birthday. And, so I'm jotting all this down. So then I just think to myself, okay, what do I do with this? I don't really know this woman. She could very well think I'm a nut because we were due to have another board meeting and I brought my notebook with me. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna call in spirit and I'm just gonna ask you and her husband in spirit. I just allow me to have this happen in such a way that, she receives the message the way she needs to. And it was a nasty day. And so we're walking down the stairs together to go out to our cars, got my notebook, and it's like burning a hole in me. And I'm going, oh God, Kathy, you just got to bite the bullet and just let this woman know what happened. So I said to her, I said, do you have a minute? I said, come on. It was raining. I said, come in my car. I something I wanted to tell you. And she gets in the, front seat next to me. And I took out the notebook and I read the message.
Mhm.
And of course, she's in tears. Everything he said, she could validate. It was remarkable. And I told her how the message came through in the shower, and she laughed and she said, "Oh yeah, that would be my husband. Sure. He didn't know his boundaries." And oh, it was hysterical. So I'm so glad that I trusted spirit on that one and that I, allowed to have that, to take down that message. And it was
Yeah.
remarkable. And she didn't think I was crazy. She knew it was her husband. So that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a guy, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was comical. Really, the whole message was quite, and that was his personality. He was a very funny guy, I guess. So yeah, I said to her, well done on your husband. He delivered. He really came through and delivered you such a beautiful message. And
Yeah.
it all goes to him. So yeah,
Wonderful.
fun.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. For those of you out there that's listening to this, maybe you have your own experience. Put it below in the text. We'd love to hear about
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
now you had some experience about teleportation, missing items. Could we
Yeah.
hear
Um,
about that?
Yeah, that still blows my mind there were two experiences. The first one, when this was again years ago, there's a farmer's market here, and every Thursday in the summertime that they do, and I used to love to go. And there was a favorite vendor of mine who on his farm he had beautiful cut flowers, and he'd have beautiful bouquets of flowers in buckets, and I'd always stop at his stall and get flowers. So I was beeline to go to his stall, and I had a kind of an open purse pocketbook on my shoulder, and I was going to a stall and I was reaching across the table to pick a bouquet of flowers when this young girl like slams into me, like really bumps into me. And like I fall forward, kind of caught myself on the table. And she's like, and I turn around to look at her and I thought, oh, she was dressed in very goth style, very white makeup, black hair that you could tell wasn't her natural color, dark clothing. And I thought, oh my goodness. My first thought was she looks out of place here at a farmer's market. And then I see her rushing off. And I thought, this is strange. So I get my bouquet of flowers. I go to pay, only to realize my wallet is not in my bag.
Um,
And I thought, oh my goodness, I had a sense that this young girl, probably, I guess they call it the bump and grab or something like that. These thieves will bump into you and steal whatever it is they
yep.
want, usually your wallet. And I thought, oh my God. And I panicked, absolutely panicked. Because all of you know, I mean, at least for me, my whole life's in that wallet, all my identification, I mean, everything, money, credit cards. And I thought, oh my God. So I literally, I was walking around going, see if I could find her. So I'm going behind some of these stalls. I'm going to places where I think she maybe ran to. Nothing. I don't see this girl anywhere. I panicked so badly that my immediate thought was to go to prayer. I just prayed to my guides, to everybody, the angelic realm, you name it. I was putting it out there. I said, please, 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 please. So the other thought was maybe my wallet slipped out of my bag when I was in the car, because I did make a stop at a Home Depot, but yet I know I put my wallet back in my bag. I mean, I just knew I did, but I thought maybe on the off chance this wallet fell out of my bag. But then I thought, all right, that's strange because my bag didn't tip over. I didn't break, but I started running to the car with praying, honestly praying that maybe my wallet's in the car. Maybe it somehow fell out in the car. And I get to my car and I put my face into the driver's side window, and there is my wallet. But my wallet, and it was a good size wallet, and it's placed ever so carefully on the console of my car. So the console's between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. They were like two bucket seats, and in the middle was the console. This was placed right front and center so that if I were to look in the car, I would see this wallet. Now, if I had been driving, and let's say I put the brakes on and my pocketbook spilled over and my wallet fell out, that wallet would not be on the console.
Yeah.
That wallet would either be on the floor of the car or on the seat of the passenger side. So it was a strange feeling to see that wallet that way. I had an intuitive sense that that wallet was teleported to me. I can't even tell you why that thought came into my head, other than the way it was placed. I thought, this is so bizarre. But then I went into a state of absolute gratitude. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I get in my car and I leave. I was just so grateful to find my wallet. And I was due then to go to a Kundalini yoga class. And I was the first one there, and I can remember going up the steps into the spiritual center where the yoga class was, and I was still very upset. I was just like still shaking from this experience. And Linda, who is the teacher at this class, she was there, and she saw the state I was in, and she said, "Oh, are you okay? What happened?" And Linda can see, can communicate to spirit. She's a medium. She's an incredible lady. And she said, I said to her, I told her quickly what happened. And then, so she's looking at me, and then all of a sudden she's looking beyond me as though something's standing right behind me. And I look at her and she says, Kathy, there's this golden being who's standing next to you. And I was like, and I trusted her, and I could feel a presence. I didn't see it. And she said, this being wants you to know that yes, they did teleport your wallet back to you. That this young woman did steal your wallet. I was right about that. She did steal the wallet, but that she's in such a dark place that's why she stole the wallet. That's why everything happened the way it did. But that it was a very karmic meeting for her and I, that we had this exchange. And this golden being said that I had to pray for this girl, pray for her soul, because she was in such a dark place. And that is why the two of us came together, was for me to get this message from this being and have dear, wonderful Linda be able to deliver this message to me so that I would then pray for this young girl and for her soul. And I did that. I did that for about a good week. I mean, every day I made time to pray for her. And I had gone back to that the next week. I went back to that farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
And I never did see her again. And every time for years now, I've been going to that farmer's market, I look for her, and I've never seen her. So I would like to think, in the big picture of everything, that maybe our exchange, maybe my prayers helped her. I don't know.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I ever saw her again, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know. I guess I would approach her, and I don't know. I never took it that far. What would I do if I ever did see her again? But I never did.
Well, I kind of think that, in a mind-created universe, you had a karmic meeting with her, both for yours and hers
Yeah,
benefit. So
very,
when
very
you then
insightful.
prayed for her later on, that is another meeting. She doesn't have to be in the present. You touch her through the quantum entanglement. You touched her, so chances are it had an effect on her, and maybe that could have turned something for her. So,
I hope so. Thank you,
yeah.
Ivy. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Yeah, I do hope so. I have a sense that is how it played out. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really something.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Now you also had an experience with a mothership, a UFO
Oh,
that
yeah.
you've seen. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I do see crafts. The mothership was remarkable. It was about 9:30 at night. This was last year. And I was, getting ready to go to bed. But I have a courtyard that is wonderful. I have sliding glass doors into the courtyard, open aired courtyard. So I'll often go out almost every day or evening, and I look up at the stars. And I call them my. I usually talk to the stars, the cosmos, my galactic beings and friends, and I'm very connected with all of that. And I remember I stepped out, I looked up, and it was just one of those perfect nights where everything was so clear. And actually, you know what? I take that back. It wasn't that clear. Most of the nights I go out there, it's clear. This particular night, it was a little spotty clouds. And as I looked up, I see very low to the tree line above my house, literally going over my house from this side of the house, going across, this huge mothership. And it had these white, almost like tic-tac shaped lights all the way around it. And it was massive. And I can remember going, oh my God, I got to go in and get my phone. And the poor dog's out there. I almost trip over her and kill her, trying to get back in the house. And I grab my iPhone. I go out. I could swear to you, I put it on video. And I've got it, and I can see this ship going through the clouds. I think I'm capturing it. And this thing keeps going. Mind you, I had gone in the house, got a phone, come back out. This thing is still going over my house. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be fantastic. I'm going to catch this on film. Only to then realize, well, they probably did it, that I did not have my camera on video. I had it on photo, and I got nothing.
Oh,
And, but I have many friends who have had these experiences. You think you're going to get out there and you've got a camera and you're photographing, only to look back on your reel and see nothing.
yeah.
So that was a shame because I do have, seeing craft started for me back when I was probably about 9 years old. We were living on a nuclear subbase in New London, Connecticut. And my dad was a career Marine. He retired from there. He had been in the Marines for 22 years. And I'm walking to school. And it was interesting because I'm walking to school, I'm by myself because I have a brother and sister. And for whatever reason, that particular morning, I'm by myself. So I'm walking to school and I could see my school up ahead of us. So I can remember looking and seeing the school. And then I look up and right ahead of me is this huge, huge cigar-shaped craft. It was right there in front of me. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even put it at like feet ahead of me, like maybe 500, 800 feet between now me and the school. And it was bright silver. It looked like it had dark ends. The sun was so bright that morning that it's literally glinting off the ship. And it was just so bright. And there was no sound. And I can remember I stopped and I stood there in absolute awe. But interesting, I didn't have any fear until all of a sudden I realized I'm late for school. And then I'm running. Then I start running. And that's when the ship disappeared. And I thought, and I do get to school and I am late, but not late enough for them to have called my parents or anything. But I'm late. I'm the last one in the classroom. And, I look back at that now, Aage, in my older years and after, having, a lot of friends who are into ufology and whatnot and have shared experiences. Did I have missing time during that time? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've seen triangular craft. I saw the mothership. There'll be nights where I'll go out and I'll see what looks like a satellite, like this little tiny dot just going across the sky. And I always will. And this happened again, this only happened a few months ago. I stepped outside again into the old courtyard. And as I see this little blip going by, my first thought was, oh, that's a satellite. But then I thought, just in case, I spoke to it and I said, okay, my galactic brothers and sisters, if that's you, let me know it's you. And and I said these words aloud, the second I did that, this tiny speck blew up like a light, like this flash, this light, like I could not begin to believe. And then all of a sudden, it went right back down to being a little tiny speck and it kept going. But it blew up the minute I asked for it to let me know it was them. And then, I mean, it was remarkable. So, and they do that. There are often
Yeah.
times where I'll see like three flashes, like it's like a 1, 2, 3. And so, yeah, I do have a history, I guess, with them,
Yeah.
whoever they are.
Now, this invites to another question, and that is a twofold question. One of them is missing time, but the other one is when you feel your body, do you feel like there is an implant, maybe a little bump that shouldn't be there? Or have you had nosebleeds? Or have you ever had an X-ray where something shows up that shouldn't be there?
Not on the X-ray. There is a bump that's been on my leg for a long time. And I can remember as a kid picking at it and it bled like crazy and it stayed there. The lump stayed there. Like, if you pick a scab or something, it heals and goes away. This thing has
Hmm.
always stayed there. That's the only thing that, and it's interesting you asked me that. I hadn't thought about that forever. But yeah, there is that bump on my leg that's been there since I was a kid.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, there may be
I
something
don't
to
know.
that. It will be fun for you to sometime to go to, for it's just a simple thing like that. Go to a dentist. They have X-ray machines and say, "Hey, would you take a picture of this leg? I want to see what's inside this bump."
Yeah, yeah, bypass my teeth this time, but x-ray my leg.
Yeah, yeah. You
You know what? I have to be honest with you. I guess I'd be a little nervous and afraid. What if something's there? I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
but then if it looks like something that is unnatural, then there might be an implant. And I kind of think you have that because of your
Oh goodness,
experiences.
really? Oh goodness. I
Re
hope
yeah,
not
you
a
have
possibility.
repeatable experiences like that. That I think something happened in your really young years
I,
that
I
allows
kind of
for,
do agree with you now after knowing what I know.
yeah.
And, two things jump out to me now about that story. Well, obviously three, the missing time, the fact that I was living on a nuclear subbase and my father was in the military and we lived on a military base. So those are like three key things. If you talk to anybody that has had an abduction or, a craft sighting or whatever, usually, the nuclear piece is pretty key. They do like to be around the nuclear, our nuclear capabilities as though, I do believe they fear us with that capability
Yeah.
and what we possibly could do. Yeah.
Now the abductions, at least there's two different kinds of them. One of them is an abduction where you come back and say, wait a minute, what happened during the last 3 hours? I don't remember a thing. So you have a missing time. But there's another one of an abduction where they bring you back to the time when they took you, and you have no idea that you actually had that missing time because the time is missing.
Goodness.
So,
Okay.
so now there's a good way to find out.
Oh my
Hyp
gosh, how?
Hypnosis.
Oh,
Find a good
oh,
hypnotist that can get you
yeah.
down into the theta range of brainwave patterns, and they take you back to that time when you thought maybe something could have happened
Yeah.
and ask what happened.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Do you know anybody that I
Yeah,
can get in touch with?
yes, I do actually.
Okay.
My
Wow. Well, that will get to the bottom of it, won't it? Wow. My
yeah,
goodness.
my co-host on broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love, is a hypnotherapist,
No
and
kidding.
I'm a little more gentle. No, she's a little more gentle about it than I would be. She is good at that. In fact, if you want to see what hypnosis looks like, just go to Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube and scroll down about, I don't know, 5 years. She in she hypnotized me live on the air.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And a lot of goofy stuff came out that I don't even talk about. But it will give you an idea what hypnosis looks like. It is gentle and it digs out the stuff in your past that you do not normally remember.
Oh my goodness. Now, does the hypnosis that can also be used to go back through past lives, right?
You can do
Oh,
that too.
interesting.
Yep.
Okay, I might need to get that done.
Yeah, just
You know,
get
yeah,
a,
I wanted to say to you, you and I spoke about this before we came on air. I don't know, all of you can notice my background has gotten darker. There does seem to be an anomaly happen. A lot of times it happens when I'm on a Zoom connection. I know you mentioned it, Aage, that I should at some point talk about this, but seeing as it's starting to happen, things have gotten darker. then all of a sudden things will get very bright in my house. And, you can see it's a sunny day here. That hasn't changed. I do have lights on in the house. So I don't know why all of a sudden I'm in this much darkness. And there are times where it will happen where you can almost not see me. It gets that dark. And then the reverse will happen. It'll get so bright you can't see me.
Hmm.
So not sure what we can, put that to.
Maybe you're just strange.
There you go. There's that.
Yeah.
Yep, nothing
Uh,
nothing normal going on here.
yeah, there you go. I do have another question for you. You you take people to a sacred site and you have an ex
I have to tell you, Aage, I don't take people. I'm guided to go to those sacred sites. But it's
oh,
interesting to me that you were assuming that I was the one taking people, because I have been told that I've had a few people read me that they see me doing that they see me taking people on these sacred journeys.
I, I
But
did.
right now it's there you go, you did. Right now it's just me. I go. I usually go with a group, a group to travel with
Okay,
safely.
okay.
Yeah.
But you had an experience in the Queen's chamber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please,
In
please
Egypt.
tell
Oh my
us.
goodness. Yeah, that is a big, big, big experience. That actually we went to I should tell you, I traveled to Egypt with William Henry of Ancient Aliens fame and his wife Claire. And there were probably about 18 of us that traveled as a group. And I had incredible experiences the whole time through Egypt. I do know that I've had Egyptian lifetimes. And in some of these areas, as we went through some of these sacred places, I would see these past lives. I would experience some of them. So at the very last full day we were in Egypt, we went to the pyramids on Giza on the plateau. And this was in 2014. It was a year and a half, 2 years after the revolution there. So that the tourist industry had kind of died back a little bit because there were still, some travel, issues out there. Some people were nervous about things,
Yeah.
being safe and that type of thing. But we went and it was fine. But the best thing about that was we usually, when we went to these sacred sites, these temples, we were the only group there, which is remarkable because normally you're surrounded by thousands of people. So we had booked a private visit into the Great Pyramid. And so we're in our bus van pulls up and one of the guards met our guard and they had an exchange and our guide comes back in, Emil, into our bus and says to us that if you can even imagine this, that the day before somebody had carved their name into one of the walls in the king's chamber and that the antiquities department had put out a notice that nobody can bring anything into the Great Pyramid. You couldn't bring a cell phone. You just bring nothing. And I had with me that I thought I could bring into the Great Pyramid, my Egyptian healing rods that I got when I was in Guatemala. I had taken a very specialized healing course there. And I was drawn to have these Egyptian healing rods. So again, it harkens back to a past life for me. And they're two rods, one's copper, one's zinc, and they're about this big. And if you ever see depictions of the pharaohs, they're holding 9 times out of 10 any statuary,
Yeah.
uh, the Egyptian healing rods. And so so we tried to smuggle them in. My friend Michael hid them in very deep pockets he had on a baggy sweatshirt. They did confiscate them. There was a huge brouhaha. Our guides were arguing with the guards at the entrance to the Great Pyramid, that I should be allowed to be able to bring in my rods. They were having none of it. So I was so upset and angry. So when you go into the Great Pyramid, there's a tunnel effect of stairs. They call it the Grand Gallery that you
Yeah.
go up into the King's Chamber. Very carved out, very low. You kind of gotta like go like this. There's two banisters you hang on to. And I'm halfway up and I hear behind me, Kathy, Kathy. And I turn around and I was so upset and angry that I couldn't bring in my Egyptian healing rods. I was stewing about it. And only to have Emil say to me, Kathy, I've got your rods. And he pats both pockets and he goes, shh, just keep it quiet. I've got your rods. I'm like, thank you, God. They're going to come into the Great Pyramid. So we go into the King's Chamber first. And that in itself is just, I mean, to me, you go up in there, it's a huge rectangular room. The stone is massive. That's cut to fit. I don't know how this was done. You look at it and you have no idea. There's no mortar. You can't even put a credit card into the space between each stones.
Yeah.
It's that
The
type of thing.
the pyramid is built around it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it had to have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at the very end of the room, with only a small little light on the floor to backlight it, is the sarcophagus. And part of us going in there, it was to have almost like an initiation to you lay in the sarcophagus, and everybody had a few minutes to do that. And I asked William and Claire, I had this intuitive sense, can I go last? So they said, yeah, sure, fine, no problem. So everybody else in my group go up, lay down in the sarcophagus, couple minutes, they're up and out, and then it's my turn. And as I approached the sarcophagus, I had this incredible sense of having been here before. I can't even explain it. And I get into the sarcophagus and I stood there and I turned and I acknowledged the four corners, the north, south, east, west. And I bowed, and it turned out that Claire was on one corner, William was on the other corner, my friend Carol was behind me, and then our group was in front of me, and I bowed to each corner. Now, mind you, something took over. I don't know why I would have done that, but that's what happened. And there was a gasp in our group. There was just like, like, what is she doing? And then I lay down in the sarcophagus. And honestly, the last conscious thought I had was I stopped breathing. And I know I left my body. I honestly don't know where I went, but I do know I left my body. And I have no idea what the time frame was. I must have been in there a little bit of time because William had to reach in and literally grab my feet and shake me like crazy. And by doing that, I came back into my body, and it was extremely unsettling to this day. Every time I talk about it, it's just the feeling of coming back in. I had a hard time kind of standing up, very wobbly. And one of our guards, Hatim, who was the sweetest, dearest man, he and I made such a connection. I truly felt like I've known this man in a past life. It was one of those kind of things. And he just said, you need to just take your time, breathe. You need to take your time. And I said, I feel like I'm straddling two worlds here. It was bizarre. I'm trying to get out of the sarcophagus, and it was a very strange feeling. And he's like, he points to his third eye, and he says to me, I see you. You have been here before. You have been an initiate here before. And I'm just like, okay, wow. So I climb out, I get my bearings. And meanwhile, the whole rest of my group had gone down to the Queen's Chamber. So Claire came back up to get me because she's like, wait a minute, where's Kathy? So I go down to the Queen's Chamber and I walk in. Have you been to the Great Pyramids?
No, I have not.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I need to.
Magical beyond words. You go into the Queen's Chamber, so you have to kind of go backwards down, this kind of ladder stairs effect. And you go into the chamber, and there's a very low doorway cut in. And, I dip down and go in, and I'm immediately drawn to my right. And on the left there's this carved niche area with, mind you, nothing in it. Again, this is just an empty room. And what strikes you about between the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber, there's no adornment, There's no hieroglyphs, there's no paint, there's nothing. It's just the cut stone. And on my immediate right that I was drawn to was an air excuse me, an air shaft. And I walk over to this air shaft, and I'm 5'3". It was literally my height. And it was about the size of like an 8x10 cutout. And it was on the north side of the chamber. And I am drawn to put my face into, I don't even know where this came from, but I do it. I put my face into this air shaft, and I can see the perimeter, of the stonework going down the shaft, and then there's absolute blackness. And I kept my face in there. And then all of a sudden, this light appears at the very black end of this tunnel. And it appears to be an arch-shaped light. And it was this beautiful color of like a red pink color. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? And I wasn't afraid. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And that's I keep my face in there. When all of a sudden this being appears, and I see just the top at the very bottom of the arch, I see this little like rounded shape appear, and then you could clearly tell it's a head. And I'm looking, and I'm not afraid. And it comes up, and I could see this being. He filled the whole arch. He had little thin shoulders, so he was like here up, very thin, long neck. His head went this way, oval this way, not like a graze, which is egg-shaped this way. And I remember noting that. And I thought, huh. So, but his eyes fit his head. They weren't super large like a graze, but they fit his head. They were large eyes, but they appeared all black. I didn't notice a nose per se, and I didn't notice a mouth, but that it started to, the one thing I did notice was this incredible sense of happiness emanating from this being, happiness and love.
Yeah.
And I stood transfixed, and I started to feel this incredible happiness and this love. And I had no fear. Fear never entered into this exchange at all. And then he starts communicating to me telepathically. And he is so happy. And he says to me, we are so glad now that we can show ourselves to you, and you hold no fear. And I can remember smiling at that. And again, I wasn't afraid. And then he goes on to tell me how they come in peace and love, and that they have helped mankind establish many of our great civilizations, in particular the Egyptian civilizations, that they do oversee us, and that they protect us. And then it was as though he started to kind of dissipate, and the light dissipates. And I can remember standing there, again, with just the blackness. And I thought, oh my God, I took my face out of the air shaft. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is remarkable. What just happened? And again, I'm by myself, my whole group that had been there. And they all went back up to the king's chamber. And then I noticed the sound. They were all toning, or a group of them were toning. This incredible, just using their voice, no words, just this toning sound. And I can remember standing there thinking, okay, it's otherworldly when I'm listening to
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was, this is the music of the spheres, Pythagoras' theory. And where that came from, I have no idea. And actually, William Henry did make a recording of that. He was able to, I think because he was the head of the group, able to hang on to his phone. And it is remarkable to listen to.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you can tell it's female voices. There's a point, at least when I hear it, there's a point where this switches up, and this is otherworldly, what we're hearing.
Yeah.
I don't think it was their voices.
I see now that we are down to the end of the show.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That was quick.
that went fast. Tell people where they can get a hold of you, especially other show hosts. You may want to have Kathy on your show also. Where can everybody reach you?
I need to invest and get into a website. I have not done that yet. But the best way is I'm on Facebook under Kathleen Cogliano. And so I'm there to be found. That's where I'll post. I'll be posting this interview. And so that's, private message me. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me, I'd say. Okay, yeah.
That would be good. All right. Well, gosh, this was fun. So,
It was. Thank you so much. It was a joy to be here, truly.
yeah, and I should appreciate you being with us. This was wonderful. And now you are going to be, got another 20, 30 seconds here. So you're going to be putting out a book shortly. For you guys out there, look for that book.
Oh,
When it's coming out, we're going to put the pressure on you here to finish
oh,
it.
thank you. You know what? I need the pressure on me. I've been needing to write this book. It's been written in bits and pieces. Some of my
Yeah,
experiences have been published. I
yeah,
need to compile it into my book. So thank you for that. Yes,
yeah.
I got to get busy for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, we do that. And when you do, then I'll love to have you back to talk more
Oh,
about it.
thank you. Thank
So,
you. I
so,
appreciate all your help
so
and your
thank,
wisdom. You've given me some great advice on that front as well.
that's good. Yeah. So thank you very much for being with us. And for those of you out there watching and listening, please subscribe if you're on YouTube, because that will help us a lot. If you like what you hear, we'll send you a note when the next show comes out. So we thank you very much. And until next time, be good to each other.